So, hello everyone. Hello and welcome to Q&A for week 2. Q&A just doesn't flow off the tongue like lecture does. Lecture 2, lecture 1, lecture 3. So, we have 2 assignments this week, guys. Project 3, the bunny, or the still life, and Project 4, where we do the interior scene. So, how did you guys do with your week 1? How'd you guys feel? The disc light is evil. The disc light's not that bad. You just got to learn how to do cone angle. So one thing you guys may have noticed is that this class is a lot more technically driven than any of your other classes. And yeah, that's pretty accurate. Modeling is kind of like one thing. It's like one skill that you can evolve in a couple of different ways, but it's the same core concept. Lighting is like an electric strip with a bunch of different plugs that go into it, and each one you have to know how to master. Um, like a ton of little switches and things. More like being a rocket scientist. But we can get there. Just gotta take good notes. So, just a quick reminder. I'm not saying any of you guys are requesting extensions, and so far everybody who has requested an extension did so correctly. But just a reminder that to submit late work, you must request an extension and submit through the submission area in the portal. Do not just try to upload me files through email, Dropbox, Google Drive, or feedback or FSO message. It's still too soon to say that nobody has done this, but I would like to have one month where nobody does this the whole month, where I can go a whole month without people just sending me files. The reason for this being is it gets very chaotic and it gets hard for me to track who does what, and then some of you guys may end up, not getting your grades as quickly as we would like, or in some cases, you missed. But everybody who's heard it turned in their work on time should be fine. So if you're turning your work in on time, don't worry about it. Again, don't forget about the class wrap-up. Concept share. We had a lot of people using the critiques channel, which is fine, and that's great. People on Concept Share, I did notice that most of you guys weren't putting comments in. You do a self-critique when you post on Concept Share. You should still be doing a self-critique when you post in the critiques channel. Most of you did a pretty good job on that. That's all I got there. Denoise. This is just a reminder that we have to use denoise on everything. If you are not batch rendering with denoise, you are going to see it reflected in your grade. Okay, and so we're already through with the technical stuff, which puts us much better than last week where we were finishing technical stuff in about 15 minutes through the lecture. Crystal is asking in the chat, is Concept Share really important? I've only been using Discord. Crystal, if you're using the critiques channel on Discord to post your work in progress, it's the exact same thing. That was a good question, Crystal. Here's your cookie. So basically, Concept Share is going to be going away in the future. We're going to be relying more on Discord, so we're trying to shift to that. But people who are still using Discord's still a thing, and we're going to continue to use it until October when we're no longer allowed to use it. So if you're using either or, it's fine. Why is Concept Share going to be a thing? Because we are no longer going to be paying for it. So, business reasons, that's all I can say. Discord is great, and because Discord's doing so well, we don't really see a need for concept share. Yes, you guys are going a bit crazy with the gifts in there this week. It's all right, whatever. But I was checking in over the weekend, and just like, there's a ton of gifts in here. Okay, well, I guess nobody needs help then. Well, nobody needed help because nobody was asking for help. If there was somebody who was adding me at Tony Bagsby or at instructor, then I did, of course, respond and try and help them out. But I didn't really get much of that. There wasn't a lot of that. So that's fine. So let's talk about lighting. So week 2 is like lighting 2.0, right? We just barely got into lighting. We just kind of started out with the using a single light, and that's fine. That's where we start. It's a good, important process, actually. It's a good, important step, figuring out how to use just one light at a time. Okay. You can talk about makeup in the Discord. Don't talk about makeup in the chat while we're lecturing, though. So yeah, we were doing a single light source, and that's a good place to start. It's a good place to get your feet wet. Probably didn't feel too intimidating. I know the disc light was a bit crazy for you guys with the cone angle, but this week we are going to move on to using multiple lights. And so we're going to start by doing a still life. So the idea is you have a single subject, and we are going to use some photography theory on lighting to give that single object a good light setup. So you have 2 options to choose from. You can do either the bunny rabbit or you can do the fruit bowl. Either or, they're pretty good. We also have this sweet lighting guide that you can download. I should have this. This is my downloads folder. That's not what I want. I wanted this. Okay. Here we are. The big version of this, and it is quite large. This is not 100%. So you can see we get them pretty quick, pretty close. So it kind of breaks down these photography theories about how to set up their lights. Super good.
I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but your screen is not showing.
Bummer. Thank you for telling me. Okay. Whoever that was that told me, you get a cookie. And whoever I gave a cookie to earlier didn't even see their cookie. It's Cookieception. And 8-Bit Mario. Okay. So, here's the photography guide. Silver Broly, I like that. And basically, we have some lights, and then we have the actual diagram of how those lights are set up. So this is going to be even more relevant in your second composition for Project 3. You have to do the still life, and you also have to do a portrait headshot. And you are meant to actually go into Photoshop, copy one of these images into your template, and then you are going to replicate that with a head that has a nice material and actually skin on it, so it has a texture. And you're going to light that to make it resemble the composition you choose. You are required to have a minimum of 2 lights. So any of these 1 light comps, which are like up here, can't do those. If you select that, you'll get like a bunch of points off. So anyway, this goes over kind of the photography theory. Tony Sachs will go over this much more in depth in the campus lecture. So make sure to check that out. He'll kind of talk about a bunch of these and how they're set up and how photography relates to lighting. Just all interesting stuff. We just don't have time for it. But this is super good. Please use it. Now, let's talk about one of the most well-known lighting setups, the 3-point lighting system. Has anybody heard of this before? 3-point lighting? Getting a lot of yeses. Good. Okay. So, 3-point lighting, as you may guess, has 3 lights. The main light, the primary light, is called a key light. Who can tell me what a key light is? I have to laugh because somebody in the chat did pulled a me and said it's the state of Maine light. M-A-I-N-E. Like, that's something I would do. So I'm getting a lot of it's the main light, it's the brightest light, which is true. It's your primary light. It's your brightest light in the scene. And you're going to need to be doing that one first because it's your focal light. So where would we, I have a little compass here on my screen. You guys can see there's 8 different directions. So our camera is down here at 0 degrees. And if our camera is 0 degrees, where would we want to place our key light? 45 degrees to the right, 45 degrees to the left. Both are correct. Good job. Pick one, guys. Which one do we want to do, right or left? Right. Got a couple rights. Got 4 rights. Okay, we're going right. Okay, so we're going to put our light 45 degrees to the right. You can actually put it 30 degrees. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly at 45. 45 is kind of the area we want it at. Now, if we're doing our key light at 45 degrees light, we have to the right, we have another light. This light is known as the fill light. So, can anybody tell me what a fill light is? What is the purpose of it? So, I was saying, or it fills in the dark areas, it fills in the shadowy parts. And that's right, because in reality, we have bounce lighting. Light bounces around, and it fills up a lot of areas that would be pretty dark that we can actually see a little bit. Because we don't have as much bounce in Maya, we often will use a secondary light source to kind of fill in that darker area. I guess they still do that in photography, but it just kind of gives us more visibility on the other side. Very good. Good job, guys. A bunch of you answered, so you can have my delicious marshmallow cookie. I need to make cookies like that. They look so good. I bet it's delicious. Every week I see these cookies. It's amazing I'm not 500 pounds. What's my favorite type of cookie? I don't have one. I like to kind of jump around. Okay, so we have the fill light filling in the shadows. Where we put that on our compass now? Keep in mind our key light is 45 degrees to the right. No, we don't put it on oatmeal raisin. So Jaylene, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and I think it was Crystal. Hard to tell. Nope, it was Jaylene twice. Jaylene is right. 45 degrees to the left. So you get more s'mores cookies. So Yep, we're going to put it over there, and it's going to kind of fill in our shadows, which is why it's called the fill light. It fills in the shadows. Jaylene also said, what's our final light? Does anybody know the name before I say it? I want to give you guys the chance. What's our final light? Good job. Rim light. What does the rim light do? Highlights edges, creates an outline. Those are both pretty accurate. Kind of creates that outline on the back side of the subject, on the same side that the fill light's on. Kind of separates it from the background because it can get pretty dark and it can get really hard to see. So we kind of have a light that's designed to create kind of like a small highlight or rim or outline or a rim, which is why it's called a rim light, on the subject. So where we put that on our compass here. So we got our key light over here on the right. We got our fill light over here on the left. Obviously, the fill light is opposite the key. So where would we put our rim? So far, I've got 180, which is not correct. $135, but left or right? 153? I mean, 153 would work. Left or right? Left? 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 So you guys are in agreement that it should be on the left, which is correct. It should be on the left. So I think Randy was the first one to say 135. Those of you who said 135, you get, oh wait, no, you get the corgi cookie. You have to get it away from the corgi though. That one is not my dog, by the way. Okay, so that's our basic 3-point lights. And then we're just going to get into Project 3. We're going to talk a little bit about light linking. Make sure I don't forget. Light linking is pretty important. It kind of allows us to break physics, which is good. As long as we use it sparingly, breaking physics is all right. And then we'll talk about the headshot. I need to replace this. You should actually have the skin of the character on your model. So let's do this lighting thing. I need to buy boop to boop, boop, boop. Okay, so this one is going to have something that we give you guys that's a little bit of a cheat sheet. But for this project, we like to give it to you. This is really the only one that I think you need this. But this is kind of a picture of where Tony Saxon put his lights when he rendered out the reference images for it. So you just kind of you get to use these to be like, okay, it should be kind of there. It should be kind of at that angle. Like I can tell you right here, this rim light is the only one that's a disc. Because if we look up here, we can see that one's a rectangle. The rim light's a disc, and it has no rotation. I can see that because I can see it. Well, it has no rotation on the y-axis. Or the x-axis. Only has rotation in the y. Guys, the rim light will always be on the opposite side of the key light, but it'll be 135. Okay, so let's light our bunny. First up, I need to get off my shelf and start using the image tool. File, open. Water, drink. Oh wait, I got the set project. Sit there. What's going on here? Oh, I know. Looking for images. And then we have our key light here. There we go. So let's start by creating our first light. We use a rectangle light. And then I'm going to actually do 2 panels side by side. And I want you to be orthographic top. So actually, I want you to be perspective. Now, I want to point something out that somebody was having problems with. Actually, a couple of you were having problems with in the Discord this week. If you click on this little light icon here, you will get lighting, but it is terrible. Do not trust this light. It is a liar. It gives you nowhere near accurate results. Do not use this. You can use this R over here. This is RenderMan's viewport lighting. It will not give you perfect results, but it will give you accurate results. Well, a little bit more accurate results. The intensity seems to be too low, which is accurate. Actually, if I was to render this in the image tool, we would find that our render is probably going to be too light. Let's go ahead and do a render cam. And we're going to see it's probably going to be pretty dark. Obviously, this one was a little bit darker, but this is too dark to be this. So we do need to increase the intensity a little bit, especially so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to jump this up to 8. It's actually not too far. Not too far off. Not bad. But I'm going to go back over here. And we're going to render out of here, actually. And we're going to kind of move our camera around until we start, our light around until we start to get the effect that we want. I know for a fact that I need this to be 2. Don't forget we got our cheat sheet here. How do I slide on the image tool? Oh, you have to use the slide tool. I'll show you in a bit. So I think that is a good position. We may or may not have to move it in closer. But at this point, this little game that we're doing with the two viewports is pointless. We're just going to go back to using the image tool now. But the image tool is going to have to take up space in my screen. So let's go ahead and camera. Again, camera. Okay, actually going to delete that. And so we need to toggle our original image as our background. And then we can use the slide tool to go back and forth. And we can tell that I do need more intensity. What's the background? Oh, my shadow is not placed correctly. Hate that. So my shadow needs to be lower. My light needs to be higher. All right, we're just gonna leave it there. It's kind of close. I can never get this darn thing to be exactly where I want it to be. It drives me nuts. There we go. Pretty close. I do need a bit more intensity, so let's go to 16. 16 is too bright. I thought so. 12. Well, it's looking good. I do want this to be brighter on the rabbit itself, because I want that sort of hot spot. Yeah, there we go. Get back. So if you want the rabbit brighter, but the background's kind of where you want it, you got to move your light in closer. And that's how you get these hot spots, which I want like right here on the face a little bit, and definitely on the rabbit's butt. Okay. Okay, are you guys asking about the slide tool? The big step is first you have to pick your reference and use the toggle image button. Then you click on the new image and any image, and you click on the slide tool. That activates it. If I go back to the move tool, slide tool is gone. Okay. So I already enlarged my light to 2, which is my shadow softness. I've got my intensity. I've got my position. We're not going to really do color because they're all going to be white for this project. We're not really worried about color. Oh, that's irritating me. There should be a shadow there. Okay. Well, it is what it is. All right, so we're going to stop this one. And then I'm going to name my light. I'm going to name my light my key light. And I'm using a space, not an underscore, not a space. Actually, you know what? Let's just use camel case. There we go. No spaces. So then we are going to go to, I would actually save if I was you guys, but I don't want to save because I want to keep my core file. So we're going to open, and now I will open the fill light. Whoop. And this is our new reference. And so we are just going to be responsible for the fill light. So that means I'm actually going to take my key light and I'm going to press Control H to hide it, which means it still exists in my outliner. It's right there, but it's now invisible. And then we're going to create our fill light. You do fill light. I make lame jokes. I'm the teacher. I can do that. Okay. And get rid of this and bring back out my cheat sheet. So I can tell that my fill light is actually pretty far away here. Okay. Let's look at it from the top. Okay, so it is a little bit in the front. Probably like this far in the front. Okay. Put it like there. And then we'll do a quick render view here. That is amazing. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course it's going to look like that. I mean, I could increase the intensity and see what it looks like, but to be honest, my reference is getting so little light anyway, it's hard to see. So we're just going to not deal with that. Okay, IPR, let's do it. Okay. All right. So there's our bunny, and here's our reference. So I feel like I need to turn down the light on my monitor or something here. How do I do that? Brightness. Oh, that only works on the other monitor. It doesn't work on my big monitor. And there's no controls for that. Sweet! Oh, here it is. It actually is as bright as it will go. Yeah, that's not helpful. Okay, well, hopefully you guys can see it because it's pretty dark. So actually, I could use a little bit more light, a little bit more intensity. I think what we'll actually do is we'll try and bring our light in a little bit. Oh, we're getting a little bit too much. Nah, it's just a little bit too much still. Very subtle. Perfect. Okay, that's where we're going to leave it. That's the fill light right there. I'm going to leave the intensity at 1. I'm going to leave the scale at 1 and leave the color at white. That's it. That's it for the fill light. But yeah, it is a very slight difference. So there we go. So now we're going to hide our fill light, Control H. We're going to create a disk light, the evil light, as one of my students said. Let's get back our cheat sheet. We can see it's over there. It's like behind him. A little bit here. Then we just kind of raise this up. There we go. And so this one, I'm going to crank some power into. I'm going to immediately put this right back at 16, and then we'll just see how it looks. There we go. Looks like it's getting in pretty well. Let's go ahead and load our reference up. Actually, not going to need the cheat sheet anymore. There we go. And then we'll do our IPR. Reference. Oh my. Well, this is not what I wanted at all. It's way brighter. What's going on? Tisk, tisk, tisk. So, what's the problem, guys? What do you see? What's going on here? What's the big problem? We have light hitting the floor, but it's not in our reference. How is that possible? Well, because the light can reach the floor. Why can it do that? Obviously, because it's right there. This is one of those things where I'm going to teach you guys a trick where we can break the way light works in the physical world. Be sort of careful when you do this because things like these can have a big effect, and if you do it a lot, your lighting is going to start to look artificial. You can do this a little bit with a little bit of artistic control once you know what you're doing, but right now we're just kind of showing you how to do it. So just on the rim light, you can go in and you're going to go to Windows, and you're going to go to the relationship editor, and then you go to light. You can choose either light centric or object centric. It just reverses the order. I like light centric, but here is our new light. Oh wow, I got to rename this now because if I do this and I rename it later, it's going to cause me problems. So I got to go in here real quick. Rim light, yeah. Settings and preferences. Oh nope. Relationship editor. Light linking, light centric. Okay, so we take this, and by default, it's going to have all the geometry in the scene selected. All you have to do is tell it to ignore the backdrop, and now it's only going to actually render the bunny. So if I go in here and I do another IPR, you guys will see ta-da! Now, my bunny is getting a little bit too much light, so I'm actually going to move this back and sort of around. I only want the light on the outer rim of the bunny. I don't know how those feet still get light. It is clearly like behind him. I actually need to pump a little bit more into the intensity. No, that's fine, actually. Okay, so there's still one major problem. You guys see? What is it? So I think one of these problems is that it's actually a little bit too high. Actually, we'll troubleshoot that later. The hind leg is not getting any light. True. So the way we do that is, again, we're going to do a little bit of cheating. We're going to go in here and we're going to go to shadows, and we're just going to disable our shadows. There we go. We're getting some light on the leg. Like I said, I think I actually want to lower this. But I think I do want a little bit more intensity. I think I'm going to go up to 18. 20. There we go. Notice it's getting a little bit of light on this ear. It's getting light on the back tail that we weren't getting before, and the leg. So if I actually select my last render and make that my reference, you guys can see the difference that just that has done. We're getting more on the back leg. We're getting that second ear, and we're getting the tail a little bit. So a couple of you are asking me about this in the Discord. You're like, how do I do it? Well, you have to disable shadows on the rim light. Also, the light linking is a huge help. Okay, so in theory, we're done, right? All we have to do is turn all of our lights back on in the outliner, do a render, and we're good to go, right? Right? Ah. I'm seeing no's. Those no's get a cookie. You're correct, but why? Backlight? Nope, no backlight. Environment? Nope. Why are we not done? We do have to save. I mean, I'm not going to because I don't save demos. So the reason you don't want to do that is because you never want to trust that it's just going to be perfect. You always want to render it with all the lights on compared to the reference that we give you with all the lights on and make sure it looks close. Because to be honest, I'm not expecting you guys to get each light 100% perfect and then move on to the next one. I'm expecting you to get about 80% of the way there, move on to the next one. When you come back to all the lights being on, you're going to have to adjust these lights and get that extra 10 to 20%. So now, with all the lights on, we would go ahead and do another IPR. And we're going to have to compare to the final reference. I can see a couple of problems off the bat. My fill light is too strong. My rim light, my key light, is also too strong. I'm getting too much light in this particular area. So I may need to actually weaken my key light and then move it in closer. So let's go to like 10. That's 18. There we go. That's better. Oh, and that actually makes my fill light look a little bit better too. Now, there's a couple of more things that you would probably want to do. I'm going to have to do some adjustments to both the position of my rim light and the intensity of my key light and the intensity. I can tell you that. And I gotta double check this shadow like every freaking time. Seriously. Anyway, I'm not going to get it perfect because I want you guys to look for that extra 10% yourselves. But that is the typical idea behind how you're going to be doing the Project 3 still life. So you can do the bunny or you can do the fruit bowl. The fruit bowl does have a backlight, so it has an additional light. That one's typically I give you guys for a little bit more of a challenge, especially for those who don't want to just copy me in the demo. Keep in mind, you guys are not going to be copying me from the demos for the rest of your projects. This is really the only one where I copy the demo, where my demo is actually the project. So that's pretty much it for Project 3. Oh, I forgot, you do want to make sure that you assign a Pixar surface. So just actually select your geometry and go boop right here. It assigns a Pixar surface. And then you want the value to be 0.5. Should actually re-render now that we have that. And then don't forget, once you get this phase, you have to still do a batch render. Oh, that just changed everything. Also, it reattached my freaking rim light. So annoying. Rim. Jaylene, are you concerned? You wrote concern in big letters. With asterisks and spaces and everything. You have a question? I rendered it the back, oh, the backlight. Oh, I fixed it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about your headshot briefly before we move on to the environment lighting. So I'm going to close the image tool. Bye, renders. And then I'm going to set my project again. Blur. And then we have this head scan project folder. And then open scene. So We have the head. It should have a texture already applied to it. Does mine have the texture assigned to it already? Or is this an old one? Pixar surface. This is an old one. Give me a sec, guys. Why is it Project 4? What is going on? All right. So again, the general idea is that you are going to take your free portrait guide. You are going to pick a lighting composition. Let's do this one. We're going to look for the loop with the rim light. We're going to play with this one. And then you are going to match that. If you really want to do the challenge yourself, you can do this colored gels one down here at the bottom. Or you can do the badger like everybody else. I don't know why so many people like that badger, but it is like the personal favorite of all of my students. All right, loop and rim. That's what we're going to play. So now this time you don't have a reference that you're going to load into the image tool. You're just going to have to eyeball it, which is how a lot of 3D work ends up being. You get photo reference and you're like, do the best you can. Cool. This one already has a material applied to it with a texture. Do not create your own material and texture for this one. So, rectangle light. Who's this bugger? Got a light like hiding in the scene there. Render view not found. What the crud? Oh, that's weird. Was not in RenderMan. What am I looking at here? This looks super weird. Oh, oh, I know what's going on. Didn't create the TEX file. I wonder. This shouldn't be an issue, but it might be. Let's do some troubleshooting here. We're in RIB. Our preferred renderer is, in fact, RenderMan. What about the workflow? Use Maya plugs. That's correct. Okay. You're all good. So this right here means that there was an error loading up the texture. So we have to kind of kick it in the butt and tell it to render again. There we go. Here's our human skin. He is getting a lot of light on him, so actually isn't too bad. The light's angled down just a bit, just based on where I'm seeing her shadows, a reference. Okay. And then we want to create a display. So this one is going to be kind of more on the hair line than anything. So helpful. Notice how you're getting some translucence on the ears. That's subsurface scattering that Tony Saxon set up for you guys. If you're not using the correct material, you're not going to get that. All right, now I don't want this huge shadow on his neck, so I'm actually going to disable my shadows. Whoop, nope, I'm not. That was weirder. I'm going to have to deal with that shadow on the neck, but later. All right. And that's the general idea behind the headshot. That ear is probably getting too much. No, actually, that ear is getting the right amount of light. It should be pinker, though. Anyway, Tony Sachs is going to spend a lot more time on this in the campus lecture. It was something out of a horror flick, I suppose. Is there an AOV for every light source, or does it consolidate them all at once? What do you mean, an AOV? Oh, it does the beauty pass all at once. We're not doing passes yet. That's another class. So for now, it's doing everything at once. Actually, looks pretty good. Here it looks a little weird. I'm actually going to have to toy with that light a little bit more. But that is enough for today. You guys can go deeper into that when you do your projects, or watch Tony Saxon's campus lecture. Okay, so let's take a bit of a break from Maya and go back to my slides. So yeah, we got through headshot. Make sure you're not cropping your renders or stretching your reference images. Include the little lighting diagram with your reference. Do not apply the Pixar surface. I already mentioned that. Let's talk about Project 4. So in Project 3, we're trying to replicate photography theory. We're trying to recreate the photography mentality behind lighting. Project 4 is a bit different. Project 4, I'm asking you to break down and replicate the way the physical lighting is working in the reference. This is also something, if you become a lighter, that you're going to have to do. They'll give you a photo, and you're expected to, okay, it's got this light, it's got that light, it's got this light, and you're going to have to break down how each and every one of those lights is working individually and do them one at a time. So this is what we're going to kind of have you do. We give you a reference. It's just 3D lighting, but we're going to have to, and we're going to give you several passes to do, like we did with the rabbit. But we're going to expect you to break it down light by light. So we're also going to be introducing a couple of new concepts. So number one, we're going to be introducing light temperature. This is kind of reference in your reading material for the week. So we're no longer going to be using light color. Instead, we're going to be using the temperature of the light. This replicates more about how real world light works. Unless you have a color filter that it's passing through, like a gel, typically the light is going to have a temperature that's going to give it that color. This is how we see a lot more yellow lighting, white lighting, blue lighting, although no light is truly white. This is how we get to sort of see that. It's either how that light interacts with color in our environment, which we'll get more to later, especially next week, or it's based off the temperature of the light bulb itself. And so you have a breakdown. This picture is actually in your assigned reading, which is why I have the link here to remind you. But this picture actually goes over the temperatures that are associated with certain types of light. This includes sunlight, direct sunlight at noon, 5,000 to about 5,400. When we get to sort of sunset, it's going to actually go between 2,000 to 3,000. And then we're going to start to talk about dome lights and portal lights. This is a big thing because when you think about the light coming through your window of your bedroom, what color is that light? Randy, I'll answer your question later. You're getting ahead of me. Everybody else, what color is the light coming through your window? Assume the sun is out. I know it's not here in Florida. It is not white. I got blue, yellow, white, yellow, blue, translucent. Light is... It's a weird way to describe light. It's not translucent. Translucency has to do with materials. Ah, Randy, you're the one I didn't trick. It's not the whole spectrum, but the light is, in fact, the combined colors of everything that the light has interacted with before it got to your bedroom window. This includes how it gets altered when it enters the atmosphere. It includes any of the surfaces outside of your window that it reflected off of. Ergo plants, trees, grass, blacktops, streets, people walking by, cars, buildings, anything in the environment outside your window. So that presents us with a bit of a challenge. How do we recreate light that's an entire image's worth of light by one channel in the outliner? Well, we use an image. This is where image-based lighting comes into. We can actually plug in an image on a dome and use that to replicate how the light around our environment actually is before it enters our window. And I'll show you how to do that when we do our little demo part. But using dome lights and portal lights, that's how we do it. The dome is the dome that we actually put the light on. The portals are kind of like windows. They're basically made for efficiency, where you stretch them out over a window and it ignores all the light that is not interacting with the window. So think with portals, but about lights. Are you thinking with portals? I didn't get a laugh out of that one from anybody. All right. And then finally, we're going to talk about mesh lights. These are basically the yellow light bulb in a lamp. How do you turn that into a light? Mesh lights. I'll show you how to do that. Enable default lighting. Actually, these are old. Yes. Always open your renders in Photoshop. I am going to get half the class, at least, that is going to open up your renders in Finder, and they're going to look at them and they're going to be like, hey, I can't see my image in the window. Why is that? What did I do wrong? The universe is on fire. I threw my computer out the window. Everybody's going to freak out about this. I guarantee you. Even though I'm making a stupid joke about it in the lecture that everybody is going to remember, they're going to forget about the context of the joke. Do not trust Preview, which is the application that Apple's use to view images. You must open your images in Photoshop, and you must tell Photoshop to read transparency as alpha channel. If you tell it to read transparency as transparency, it's going to delete it. This is alpha channel. This is something you're going to be battling with all month, because you just don't know what alpha channels are yet. So basically, what Maya is doing is it's creating an alpha channel for the window, and it's going to be telling your computer this is an alpha channel. There are reasons it does this for classes that are much later in the program. Just know when you bring it into Photoshop, read alpha channel, read transparency as alpha channel, and it will ignore the alpha. You want to ignore alpha. You don't want to deal with it, but it is there, so you have to deal with it. So let's go to the demos. All right. File. Set project. Project 4. Open. Cancel. Set project. Project 4. Project 4, Maya project. File. Open. Interior. Thank you. Okay. Here is our happy scene. Yay! All right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a dome light, which was the button right next to the one we were using. There's the one we were using. Dome light. Yay! Right in here, color map. And then Zen Garden. Ta-da! Great. And I need to rotate my dome. All right. So now, when we do our render, oh, the dome didn't load. Didn't create that stupid .tex file. It's just a big R out there. Come on. RenderMan, let me down, man. Letting me down something fierce. Oh, for crying out loud. It's one image. Why are you having trouble converting it? Oh, it's taking a while. All right. Hopefully it'll do that while I hook up the domes or the portals. Yeah, cancel. Just get out of here. Just get out of here, RenderMan. Go. No, I know what's going on. It's just computers being computers. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? It's being a whiny baby. All right, let's hook up the portal. Okay. So, with the dome selected, you can so you can just go over here and make a portal. Hang on. There they are. Portals. So you can just make one right here. If you have the dome selected, Pixar portal. Oh, right. If you don't have the dome selected, it will not hook up the portal to the dome, which is highly annoying, actually. It's super annoying when it does that. All right, so it's very important that you get this kind of lined up with your window pretty perfectly. There. Okay. Now, select our dome. So we can actually do two things. We can go in here and click on this and do append to make another portal light. But honestly, so long as you have the dome selected, when you click on the button to make a new portal, it automatically assigns it. So it's kind of just easier just to make sure you have the dome selected. But it's important that the dome is selected. All right, let's see if we can trust Maya to, or trust RenderMan to actually give us the freaking HDRI image. Okay. There we go. We got our image, finally. And the portals are all hooked up. I need to load in my image file. Okay. So as we can sort of see from our reference, our dome light is too low in intensity. So we need to increase the intensity. Getting better. I think that's where I'm going to kind of leave it. Now, obviously, the temperature is off because this has more orange. The annoying thing, enabling temperature and changing the temperature on the dome, well, we're going to enable it, but changing the temperature on the dome does nothing. It's really annoying, but you actually have to change the temperature in the portals. Change the intensity in the dome and the temperature in the portals. Don't ask me why this is a thing. Don't know. So, now, interestingly enough, if we lower the intensity, it gets yellower. I know you guys would think it works the other way around, but the higher is actually more blue. So we're going to go somewhere in like, nope, actually it's, somewhere around here. 55. These are like, use our slide tool. Oh, it's breaking it. We can't use the slide tool on this one. Because they're EXRs. Here. Oh man, my portal's not in the right place. How muted that is. It's weird. So make sure to set this one to the same thing. I think it's more like 1,000. There we go. Around the right spot. I think we need more intensity on our dome light. Well, it's looking pretty good. Noisy. Get ready for a lot of noise in the interior scene. These portals actually generate a lot of noise. So does the mesh lights. Okay, so we're halfway there. Now we have an interior window. So we need to create a distance light. Now, do you guys remember distance lights from Project 2? What's unique about a distance light? Farther away, brighter? Nope. Randy says rotate. I'm not sure what he means by that. Shadows are parallel. That is true. Oh, rotate. Yeah, you got to rotate it to actually see the light. This is always fun for me. But yeah, because it's a distance light, only rotation matters. So I'm kind of tracing the shadows there at the bottom. That's about right for the position. Intensity, we're going to have to go up a bit. Too much. Actually, I think I'm going to have to lower my dome intensity. I can tell with all that noise. Maybe not. Definitely going to need more temperature in the distance light. Yeah, more intensity too. So this one is ridiculously noisy. Jaylene is saying, wait, I thought you had to take the light outside. You don't, because the distance light is outside, because the distance light is the sun. So no matter what, the light is technically outside. It has no origin. It starts from forever away. Actually, I do have too much orange in here. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave this one. No, Randy's asking if we change the temperature on the portals, do we have to change the temperature for the distance light too? No, they're going to have different effects. So, for example, if your color is off in the shadowed area, that is your portals or your dome. I mean, technically it's portals. That's where you'll be adjusting it. If the sunbeams itself, the color is off, that is a combination of your distance light and your portals. So get the shadowy area looking right first, then adjust the distance light, because the directional or distance light or the sun, whatever you want to call it, that is actually going to be controlled separately. And you can only get that right once you get the other one right. Adjusting the distance light itself will not affect this area out here. It's still noisy, even though I finished rendering. That's because I need more samples and I need to denoise. This one itself, if you guys are not denoising, you will have to raise your samples so ridiculously high that you're going to get 4-hour renders. Not joking. So use denoise. It will save you 4 hours. Well, it'll save you 3.5 hours. When will the last week's assignment be graded? I don't know. When I get them done. I'm going to probably start on them tomorrow. But they're not a thing that gets done magically, guys. It takes me a while to get through them. Randy, actually, you do intensity changes on the dome and temperature changes on the portals. It's annoying, but that's the way it works. I don't know why they did that, because it didn't work like that in 21.1 or 22.1. It's a new thing that they changed. All right, that one's not perfect, but that should give you the idea. I want to go and talk about the nighttime scene because we are starting to run up on time here. So for the nighttime, I'm going to do a couple of cheats here. Number one, the biggest thing is for your nighttime, if you did interior day, you have to do the exterior night. If you did the exterior day, then you can do interior night. Basically, I need one of each. All right? You have to give me an interior and an exterior. One of them has to be day and one of them has to be night. You can choose the combination, but if you give me 2 interiors or 2 exteriors, you're going to get only 50% of your grade. And if you give me only 2 days, 50% of your grade again. Only 2 nights, 50% of your grade again. Well, you're responsible for doing both. And if you don't do both, then you didn't do the assignment. This assignment is a day and a night, but it's also an interior and exterior. It's actually got 3 parts. The interior day, exterior night, and then the third one is a MyComp. If this is confusing, post your work in progress to Concept Share, and I'll tell you if you're doing it wrong. Because if I see two interiors right next to each other, I'm going to immediately go, whoa, you need to do an exterior. I'm going to tell you, the exterior is actually way easier. So those of you who do two interiors are really doing yourself an injustice. All right, let's hide this sunlight. And then we're going to take the intensity on the dome, and we're going to knock this down to like, I don't know, something really dark. One. Nope, too bright. Also, hang on, I'm just undoing my work from before. Why the heck is that so bright? Whatever, fine. Oh, no, that's too dark. Something weird is going on with that window. It's unnaturally lighter than it should be. That's annoying. Oh, wait, I know what it is. It's actually the toggle background cursing me from beyond. Okay, let's talk about mesh lights really quick while we got time. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys how to make a mesh light. Come back here. So if you want a mesh light, here's what you do. Select a light. Actually, select a light. And then over here, there's a button for mesh light. Click it. Now, you're going to notice a couple of things happened. It created a mesh light and hid it in this default lighting set to annoy me. I don't know why it does that, but it does that. So, it also assigns a Pixar black to your light. That's weird. What does that mean? It actually means that everything that you assign a Pixar black to has this material set up on it. So let's go ahead and crank this up because mesh lights have to be super bright. So I'm going to actually go 256. And we can see there's light. Yay! You may have to position them so they're not sticking out of the lampshades. That's a general idea. Now, if I take this over here, I could assign another light and tune it to the exact same settings, or I could assign the Pixar black to it, and automatically it turns into a light because the Pixar black is a central conduit for the mesh light. So because of that, now let's say I take my mesh light and I make it 128. Both lights go lighter. There we go. Instead of having to tune them individually, which is what would happen if I put a mesh light on each of them. So I actually just grab all of the lights and assign the Pixar black to everything. And there we go. Now I can control them all at the same time. Now, that's not all there is to the interior scene. There also is a fill light that's a rectangle light that you need to put behind it. We're not going to do that in the lecture. You can either watch Tony Saxton's campus lecture or kind of figure out how to do that on your own. It's not super difficult. It's just a rectangle light that you position off camera. And I believe you even have an image to kind of show you where to put that. So if we look at our project for, so you'll see exterior day, exterior night, interior day, interior night. So you'll see right here, reference lamps, reference final. So there's just an extra light that's kind of off camera. You can kind of see it. It's right around here. It's kind of hanging out. Basically lights the back of the chair and the table and the vase a little bit. But remember, of these combinations, you cannot choose both of these or both of these. You need to do a combination. Oh wait, those are both day and night. So you need to do like this or like this. You really only have two choices. And then you have to do a MyComp, which is the same thing as what you did in Project 2. The only difference is now you're doing an environment. You are responsible for doing lighting. Don't do any modeling, but you can move stuff around in the scene. You can duplicate stuff. Really quickly, let's do an IPR. Over here. There we go. Probably need to enable the temperature. What did our slides say? Where's my slides? So a light bulb. What kind of light is it? Tungsten. No. Yeah, we'll do a tungsten lamp. So 3275. We'll try that. That's a little bit too low. For our reference. Let's go 35. That's getting closer. Let's look at our reference. Okay, yeah, that's definitely going to need a little bit more. There we go. We're getting in. We're getting there. Notice the white fireflies. Those are noise. The only way to get rid of them is to render with denoise. All right. Now, if you guys want, I'll do a quick batch render so I can show you the Photoshop thing that you're all going to freak out about. Guaranteed. So we will turn on denoise, but I want it to be super fast, so I'm actually going to make my samples actually ridiculously low. I'm actually going to go 32. 32 samples. It's not nearly enough samples. Let's get rid of all this jazz. Let's get rid of all this jazz. Yeah, that should be good. And then we will do a batch. All right, guys, that brings me to the end of the show. You are free to ask questions, especially while we wait for our batch render. Does anybody have any questions about projects 1 through 4? If you have questions along the week, that's fine. Just ask them in Discord. All right, so we should have our render done. So here it is. Now, all of you are going to open up your renders and you're going to be like, oh, my window. Also, teacher, render from the perspective camera. Why? Why? Also, this is super noisy. Let's go ahead and fix that because it's just going to irritate me. Render cam. Put another batch. Local queue. Chop 2. But if you see this, it is not the end of the world. It just means that you trust Apple way too much. Also, you need to raise your samples. That's ugly. Actually, it kind of looks kind of funny because it has that sort of impressionistic art style. All right. All right, it's correct. Good. Okay. Let's close all this jazz. I'm going to save this out for good reason that we'll find out about later. Actually, okay, so I'm just going to open this with Photoshop. Okay, this right here, this is where all the importance is. The default is transparency. Mine is alpha channel because I always use alpha channel. There we go. We can see our image there. What's going on is there's this channel back here. This is the alpha channel. And what it is telling us is that white is where the image is and black should be deleted. If you do transparency, it deletes what's in the black. It's also what Finder does. Make sure that you do this. And then we can just copy this and ignore the alpha, and we'll be good to go. All right, guys, that's it. That's the show. You guys are free to go. If you have questions, feel free to ask them, but I'm going to end the recording. Those of you who didn't make it tonight, wag of the finger, just a joke. You can see me in Discord. I will have my office hours on Thursday. Frank will be in Go to Training on Friday for Open Lab. And then my office hours will be again next Monday. So if you have any questions, please come find me in Discord, or you can email me. Good night.